Welcome back. In this module, we talk about software updates, patch cycles, and zero-day vulnerabilities. Modern cybersecurity often feels abstract. Firewalls, networks, cloud architectures, and identity systems. Yet, many of the most consequential security failures begin with something far more ordinary: an update that was postponed, a patch that broke compatibility, a system that was working fine, so no one touched it. Endpoint hygiene, the basic discipline of keeping devices and software current, remains one of the most effective and most neglected pillars of cyber resilience. This section explains why software updates matter, how attackers exploit patch gaps, and why zero-day vulnerabilities are as much an organizational challenge as a technical one. Why software is never finished. Software is not a static product. It is a living system. Every application, operating system, and device firmware contains millions of lines of code, interacting components, hidden assumptions, and unintended behavior. No complex software is ever free of defects. Some of those defects affect performance or stability. Others affect security. Vulnerabilities are not anomalies. They are inevitable. Updates exist because software ages the moment it is deployed. Patches as risk reduction and not a feature delivery. Many people associate updates with new features or cosmetic changes. From a security perspective, this framing is misleading. Most updates exist to fix known vulnerabilities, close abuse paths, correct unsafe behavior, or when updates are delayed, the risk does not remain static, it increases. Attackers track patches closely. Each published fix is also a disclosure. It reveals that a weakness existed and how it was addressed. A patch announcement is often a signal to attackers, not just defenders. Patch cycles and the window of exposure. Between the discovery of a vulnerability and its patch, there is a window of exposure. This window has three phases. Vulnerability exists but is unknown. Vulnerability is known but unpatched. Vulnerability is patched but not yet deployed. The third phase is often the most dangerous. Once a patch is released, attackers can analyze it to understand the vulnerability. They then target systems that have not yet applied the fix. Delayed patching turns known weaknesses into predictable entry points. Why patching is operationally hard. If patching were simple, it would be universal. In reality, organizations delay updates for understandable reasons: fear of breaking critical systems, compatibility dependencies, legacy software, limited maintenance windows, user disruption. These concerns are real, but delaying patches is not a neutral decision. It trades short-term stability for long-term exposure. Cyber risk accumulates quietly. Zero-day vulnerabilities. Risk before awareness. A zero-day vulnerability is a flaw that is actively exploited before a patch exists. The term zero-day refers to the fact that defenders have had 0 days to respond. 0 days are dangerous, not because they are common, but because they bypass expectations. Security teams cannot patch what they do not know exists. This is why layered defense matters. When patching cannot protect you, others' controls must absorb the impact. 0 days and targeted attacks. Zero-day exploits are rarely used indiscriminately. They are expensive to discover and risky to deploy. Attackers reserve them for high-value targets or strategic objectives. Most organizations will never encounter a true zero-day directly, but when they do, the consequences can be severe. Understanding zero-day risk is about preparedness, not paranoia. Why endpoints are prime targets? Endpoints like laptops, desktops, mobile devices sit at the intersection of people and systems. They run complex software, they interact with untrusted content, they connect to multiple networks, they operate with user privileges, which makes them ideal entry points. Unpatched endpoints allow attackers to execute code, escalate privileges, and establish persistence, often without triggering immediate alarms. The compounding effect of small delays. Patch delays are rarely dramatic. An update is postponed for a week, then another, and then another. Over time, systems fall months or years behind. Each missed update compounds risk. Vulnerabilities stack. Exploitable paths multiply. What feels like a minor operational decision becomes a structural weakness. Automatic updates and the trust trade off. Automatic updates reduce human delay. They shrink the exposure window, they improve consistency, they reduce dependence on manual action, but they introduce trust decisions. You're trusting vendors to test updates adequately, avoid introducing instability, and act responsibly. This is a reasonable trade off in most cases and far safer than a perpetual delay. Why attackers love predictability? Attackers do not need every system to be vulnerable. They need enough systems to lag. Patch inconsistency creates predictable targets. Attackers scan for known versions, known flaws, and known configurations. In this sense, patching is not just about protection, it is about removing yourself from the pool of easy targets. Endpoint hygiene as a resilience practice. Endpoint hygiene is not glamorous. It does not involve advanced analytics or cutting edge tools. It involves regular updates, asset visibility, supported software, decommissioning what is no longer needed. And these practices reduce attack surface even before attackers even appear. Good hygiene changes the economics of attack. Why personal devices matter. In hybrid and remote work environments, personal devices often access sensitive systems. If those devices are unpatched, organizational security is undermined, regardless of how strong central defenses are. Endpoint hygiene is no longer just an IT responsibility, it is a shared resilience practice. Why this matters for cyber risk? Many breaches begin not with sophisticated exploits, but with known vulnerabilities that were never addressed. Understanding patch cycles explains why incidents are so often preventable and why they still occur. Cybersecurity is not only about defending against the unknown, it is about reducing exposure to the known. The key takeaways are software updates are not optional maintenance, they are security controls. Patch delays create predictable opportunities for attackers. Zero day vulnerabilities remind us that perfect defense is impossible, but layered resilience is not. Endpoint hygiene reduces risk quietly, consistently, and powerfully. It is one of the simplest and most effective investments an organization can make.